The revolution is here. We are the change. Now, this is a quote from the reggae band Culture. And this quote addresses one of the main reasons I created Hippie-Fari. The beautiful life-changing message of reggae music. It was created for social change, and its message is as strong today as it was in the 60s when the first reggae records were released in Jamaica. So welcome to another episode of Hippie-Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast, recorded live in the Omen Honey Reggae Radio and Media Studios in beautiful Daytona Beach, Florida. I'm your host, Scotty the High-Strung Hippie, and tonight we have a very, and I stress very, special guest in the studio. With 10 full-length studio albums as well as singles like Energy, released March 5th of this year, and the 11th studio album, Candle Burning, set for release May 23rd of this year, and another international tour planned as well. A literal professor of reggae history. Our guest is spending nothing but time making conscious reggae music with a heavy message. Folks, let's go ahead and welcome Harrison Stafford of Groundation to the studio. Welcome, Harrison. How are you?
I am very well, Scotty.
That is awesome, man. I just want to, first and foremost, thank you very much for taking your valuable time out of your evening to come on Hippie-Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast and talk with us a little bit.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So we'll go ahead and get started, Harrison. Can you just go ahead and take us back to the beginning, around the Young Tree and Young Tree Records days? How did Groundation come into existence?
Groundation came into existence there in the summer 1998, in between finishing up Sonoma State University. And I thought to myself, the music that I love is reggae music. And this conversation for social justice and change and equality, I want to be a part of it. And I know the best way is through music. I'm getting my jazz degree. I already know that I want to do music for my life. So I'm going to start a reggae band out of the jazz program, getting the musicians together to rehearse in the drum room, showing them all Culture, Isra Vibration, Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Pablo Moses, Ijaman Levi, all these Burning Spear, all these great legends, and we're just playing the roots music. You know, I would give them maybe 10 albums a week, and from there we recorded the first record. Literally months later, I said we're going to record an album of all covers. So we got together, did a bunch of these classic songs in the studio. This was a way for these musicians to learn reggae because they didn't know that music. You know, we were earning our jazz degrees. So we recorded that first album called Tribute to the Roots, and I brought one original song in, which was Groundation Chant. And that Nayabingi song would be put onto Young Tree when we would actually, about a year later, 1999, something like that, record the first record. All songs that I had written, and we rehearsed as a group, recorded actually at the studio in Sonoma State University with my friends who were in the recording program, Chris Dilbeck, Corey Stuck. And we do the first record, and I know that the music I want to do is this reggae jazz fusion, long form, long solos, improvisation, non-diatonic harmony. You know, it's not recipe for success or radio play or, you know, these type of things. So I started my own record label because I didn't need a record label to tell me, hey, a 7-minute song is not going to fly. So I just stuck to my guns, started the record label, started with the first record, and maintained the focus all the way through until Hebron Gate, which is the album that really blew the group up, and I heavily invested in Hebron Gate and We Free Again, kind of as a last-ditch hurrah to see if this music is going to catch anywhere. And internationally, we have our base, of course, West Coast, Hawaii, these places, but the people who responded were in Europe and in South America.
Sure, yeah. Where you do most of your touring, definitely.
Exactly,
Yep, it's absolutely fantastic. So what drew you personally to reggae music, especially being brought up in a jazz family? I know your dad was a jazz pianist. So what was it that drew you right to reggae music?
You know, it was my older brother. Our rooms shared the wall, and he began listening to Black Uhuru
Yes. Great band.
Culture, Don Carlos. This is when Ziggy Marley first started too. So Ziggy Marley and the
Mm-hmm.
Melody Makers,
Sure.
Bob Marley. I just loved. I don't know if it was the groove, the rhythm, the
Mm-hmm.
singer. Um, and at the same time, I felt like I had a voice. I could sing. I enjoyed singing. From old Beatles songs all the way through Michael Jackson and all these things.
Right.
And so reggae music, I heard this, and I tell this story a lot. At the same time, I'm going to Hebrew school, which was about a 45 minutes drive from where we lived. So I would go
Right.
to regular, secular school, elementary, middle school, high school in my local town. And then we would go to the synagogue, the temple, to study Hebrew. And um, I didn't like it. I was like,
Right.
this is a lot of work, and none of my friends are doing this.
Right.
But then suddenly, Exodus, children of Israel, we want to come home, Moses and Aaron, the Congos, Israel Vibration is like, this is my music. And
Beautiful.
maybe it was because none of the kids my age, we're talking 8, 9 years old, listened to reggae.
Right.
So it was kind of my thing. And I even would do, like, you have presentation in 5th grade or whatever. I would
Mm-hmm.
present about
Yeah.
Rastafari or Peter Tosh. I'd
Oh
play
man, that's
Peter
great.
Tosh's songs and these things. And it kind of came in a strange way when I came into high school now, where people started to really love Bob Marley and they started to get into reggae. But I was kind of teased with the music when I was a kid. It was kind of that
Right.
funny music that Harrison listened to. But they came to love it in the end. So I really formed a bond with reggae and specifically with music. I think it's in the blood. My grandfather played saxophone, like you said. My father piano,
Yes.
music. My mother played piano as well. I mean, music was not a little part of the family; it was a big part.
It was
And
huge. That's awesome.
even though we come from, my grandparents come to America, East Coast. My folks come to California and have me. So even though we come from the system and all of that, it was like, you don't have to be a doctor or a lawyer or be a part of a corporation. You want to do music? That's great. So I had full support
That's
from,
wonderful.
even before I could drive a car. My parents would drive me to local concerts and performances with my band Human when we formed as young kids.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's a
so
great
it
name.
was. I know
I
most
love that.
people, when they say they want to do music, is like the parents. What are you
Yes, of
doing
course.
music? What the
Yeah,
hell
you're
is
not gonna
this?
make any money doing that.
Yeah, and they're right. Really, it's only by like I said, pushing through the Hebron Gate, and by a miracle, the response from overseas was made it so I can continue this musical exploration of in its basic sense, the jazz and reggae, roots reggae
Yes.
music, but it's not. I would say, even when I play with Jamaican musicians, it's not your standard Jamaican reggae. Reggae music is like a puzzle piece, and,
Sure.
and everything gels. And as long as everybody plays their part, it rocks you, and it doesn't feel like it's the most powerful music, right? But we as Groundation, we play 5/4. When I'm doing these vocals and I scream and do these big things, if you're just vamping, it sounds strange to me.
Right.
So you need to comp like a jazz musician. So as you're playing the keyboard, I want you, it's not really Jamaican reggae, but I want you to break the pattern and come with me when I do this rhythm at the end of that phrase. So I'm able to explore all these ideas in the head, and with all these brilliant musicians in California and now around the world, we're able to execute it at a high level, and with all the talents, it makes Groundation, I feel, something special.
Yes, 100%. And you do mention the fans overseas a lot. Yeah, that's one thing I've had the discussions with my wife quite a bit. I'm like, man, I wish Groundation was touring here more, but I definitely know
Yeah,
your
I
your
do
fan
too.
base over there. It is absolutely massive. It's a beautiful thing. So
Yeah,
that's
I
yes,
want to play more in the States as well. I feel
sure,
like this is home base. This is the epicenter, you know, of the
Yep.
world. So we have to come here more.
Amen. Absolutely. Well, we are waiting patiently. So,
Yeah, we're gonna make it happen.
amen. Absolutely. What exactly does the name Groundation mean to you, both musically and on a spiritual level?
Groundation to me, um, for myself, it's more of
Uh-huh.
a commitment
Okay.
to what we're about and what the mission of Groundation is. So
Sure.
Groundation, of course, comes from my original learning of Rastafari and Groundation. So Groundation, which is without the D,
Right.
is
Okay.
something that's used in Jamaica. It was first used when Selassie came in '66 to visit the island. That was Groundation Day. And to me, Groundation is saying we're coming from this backbone, this militant resistance, roots reggae, one drop, social justice uh, commitment. But we are also a band that's grounded. I have always wanted to be a part of a band that was a collective, you know? I would
Right.
always
Okay.
say that in Groundation, there are 10 musicians on stage. That means at different moments, there are 10 lead singers.
Okay.
So
Nice.
the trombone is the leader on this moment. The the
Great.
the, the keyboard man now, the drums, and have solos for everybody. So that is grounded. So Groundation was that type of. It was a unique name that shows the commitment to roots reggae and Rastafari, as well as a commitment to be one, to not have some
Sure.
superstar kind of mentality.
Sure. I absolutely love that. I like how you took something and made your own name out of it. Kind of what I did with the name of this podcast we were talking about before we started the recording, the Hippie-Fari. I kind of took something and made something unique out of it. So that's very cool, man. I definitely
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
Definitely
man. I was
appreciate
telling you
that.
that's definitely coming from California. We're the land of the hippies, you know.
Sure, 100%. That's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, we had
Absolutely.
my. I remember senior year the T-shirts for had Jerry Bears and all these things on it. So
Right.
Grateful Dead Central.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm a huge Dead fan as well. I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a
Absolutely.
big part of growing up here.
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. Still is, man.
Yeah,
Timeless, 100%.
yeah.
Um, it's a beautiful thing. So, Groundation definitely blends roots reggae with jazz and other elements. Um, how do you approach that fusion in your songwriting?
I don't even think about it. I'm just writing songs. I don't.
Awesome.
I
I love
don't
that.
filter myself. I just write songs. You know.
That is
That's
great.
how some of those things, like the side projects, Professor and the One Dance,
Uh-huh.
Harrison Stafford Professor Crew, One Dance, how those projects came about was that I have so many songs that are not Groundation. To
Right.
me, Groundation is, there has to be a unique reason why we're recording that song. It has to be different than any other song we've recorded. It has to have something in it that we haven't done before.
Right.
And there are many songs that I've written that's it's just a 3-4 minute, it's a great song. And so I'm just writing music. I'm just writing. And today, as opposed to having your little tape recorders and all these things, today we have our
Uh-huh.
phones.
Yep.
You can sing into it. A lot of the stuff comes the same time. I grab a guitar, begin to play chords and sing. I'm recording, and
Yep.
then listening back to it is Babylon Rule Them, is Jaja No, it's yeah, a lot of those songs is just exactly as they are from front to back from a moment.
Sure.
Um, and other songs, Weeping Pirates or things I wrote
Great track.
in the car, just singing the
Yep.
melody. And so I had my tape recorder. To all those weeping pirates, we shall find on
Hmm.
their feet and hear Mount Zion calling them and higher to the word.
Yes.
I had this here and I listened back to it with, I just sang it as I was driving to get some food. And so I listened back to it and I because of the jazz training, I began notating, writing it out. Oh, it has 2 bars of 4, and then it has these 4 bars of 3, and then it goes back to the Dagon, back to those big
Yeah.
four at the
Love
end.
it.
So it becomes, because of that, it's just a part of the jazz nature, because a lot of the polyrhythmic, especially again from California, Dave Brubeck, who
Right.
my father was a big fan of, a piano player, composer, Take Five, dum gum dum bam, bum gum dum gum dum bam. I mean, so these in California, I'm growing up in a polyrhythmic world, but it
Sure.
makes it so when you hear Weeping Pirates or you hear Picture on the Wall,
Hmm.
it doesn't sound like any other song.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's because
That's
of that. Picture
right.
on the Wall is a bar of 3 and a bar of 4. I couldn't tell you any other reggae song that does that.
Right.
So
Yes.
it just comes out. And that's when people ask me for songwriting advice, I would always say, just keep writing. Keep
Sure.
writing all you can, I remember
Sure.
talking to Pablo Moses, and we were going to be going in and doing a record. And I said, Pablo, um, you have some new songs. And he said, but Harrison, you know the songs I had. And it was like when he wrote an album, he didn't write any more music until he recorded that. But to
Right.
me, I'm just writing. I'm just
Yeah.
writing. So
Yep.
this is like 5 years later. I was like, okay, Pablo, you're just waiting to record those 10 tracks.
Right.
To me, I would say your best stuff just comes from experience, and keep writing and keep writing. I don't think your first 10 songs are going to be your greatest songs ever.
Right.
So, you
Yep.
know,
Absolutely.
just keep going, keep going.
Yeah. And like you said, it's in your blood. It's family blood. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
It,
this
it.
music thing, it is.
Yes. That's so awesome, man. Thank you so much. Absolutely fantastic answer. Now, I kind of want to get a little spiritual real quick. What role does Rastafari philosophy play in your life and music?
It plays a big role in my
Yes.
life. It plays a big role in my life in the terms of militancy, in terms of dealing with humanity, and you call it whatever you want to call it, but I'm speaking specifically of the principal teachings of Haile Selassie. These are cornerstone parts that, as people who know me, I practice militancy on a number of things, and
Sure.
it serves me well, and you can't break me on those things. And to
Amen.
me, that's Rasta. You're not gonna be able to go around it. If you're doing something wrong, then you got to speak up and let it be known, and you have to change. As Apple Gabriel
Yes.
said, "Are we free again?" You can't change a wrong thing into a right. You have to leave a wrong thing and go to a right. So
That is
it's
beautiful.
like, yeah, it's like a way of self-examining, and
Yes.
to maintain your discipline is crucial, man. And something that we're getting disconnected from, which is a love for humanity, a love for all people. You know, I know I was recently at the Rototom Festival in Spain, and I took part the day before our performance in their reggae university, it's called. And they had asked, there was a couple people, it came up twice in this hour long or however long it was. Oh, what do you think about cultural appropriation?
Okay.
I was like, I'm a musician, so I don't have any idea what that word means. But everybody is connected. Everything
Sure.
is to be borrowed and shared and
Right.
reinvented, and nobody came with the initial spark of nothing.
Beautiful.
The Romans couldn't build a thing without the Greeks. We have to, we can't. That's not a way to look at it. We have to look at it as a way of we improve and we become better as a society when we share.
Together. Amen.
Yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
it's and
absolutely.
it's a part of our experience. So Rasta, even though I would say the beginnings of Rasta is a militant, black liberation movement,
Sure.
100%. And as a white person who has witnessed the oppression of black people, crucial and
Sure.
needed, and it should be celebrated. And even
Amen.
if you're white, it doesn't.
Yes.
It's not a thing like that. So this is also why I got into reggae. Rastafari struck a chord in me early too, and
Sure.
having this, Jewish faith and music is a spiritual thing as well. You know,
Oh,
we have a
certainly.
song, "Music is the Most High." Um, Everything is a rhythm, your heartbeat, the
Sure.
universe, vibrations, nothing leaves, you know, even these words we're speaking right now, Scotty, they don't leave. There's a
Sure.
remnant of them, you know, and
Sure.
I love that. I love that, you know. This is what
Absolutely.
I believe music really is and life really is. It's not Rastafari, Christian, it's not jazz or reggae, it's not these things. Life is really a coming together, a fullness. And there is something within music that we once knew and lost, or maybe we're trying to find it again.
To get it
But
back,
it has
yes.
to do with a human vibration, you know, an idea that there is a music that resonates the souls of all people and can
Sure.
bring about harmony and spiritual different heights. I'm not trying to play reggae. I'm not trying to play reggae jazz. I'm trying to move music into the different heights where it can speak to people on a spiritual wave that causes a great shift in society.
Sure. Yes. 100%. That's absolutely beautiful. I love the way that you describe that because I definitely look at it that way. Music does have that power to create a global shift in society, and I believe it. One of my friends had a really good quote. He said that reggae music is the last bastion of the People's Army, and he's kind of hit the nail on the head. It's a weapon, and a tool, that can be used, that we still have. It's one that hasn't been taken yet. So it's absolutely beautiful. It's extremely powerful. Now, your lyrics often touch on, not often, all the time, touch on justice, peace, and social consciousness. And what issues are most important to you today at this moment?
Wow. What issues are most important to me at this? Where are we? April now, 2025?
Yeah.
I mean, so much is
Yes,
happening
sir.
around us every day.
Sure.
Um, what's most crucial, I say a lot in the live performances throughout all the years, countless times, that our music is an attempt to inspire people and, God willing, to inspire the future leaders of the world.
Okay.
Um, and it's not where our leaders are going today.
Right.
So the human race is in a bad way. But even still, you know, with this new album, Candle Burning, I've
Sure.
tried to look in a different direction because I've written, as you said, so many songs, if not every single song, about what's happening around
Sure.
us. And a lot of it is some real serious stuff,
Sure.
which to me is what reggae was, really, you know? I
Sure.
remember as a
100%.
kid listening to the Congos and hearing Cedric Myton wail out, "I can see invasion, Christianity, who fight against the saints of his majesty," you know? And I just talked to Cedric recently in Jamaica a month or two ago about this. And to be that bold, to say something like that,
Right.
you know, knowing that you're poor and you come from a third world country that nobody respects, but yet you're going to stand up so tall like that. That's what the music is meant to try to have it so that our listeners are inspired to stand up tall
Sure.
for
What?
for what they really believe in is the right thing, because it's the same old story, Scotty, right? We need more love, we need more unity, and without the
Sure.
leaders to drive and to steer the ship in the right direction, we're lost at sea. So
Yes. 100%.
the
That's why it's
most
up to
important.
us through the music, I believe.
Yes, yes, man, exactly. So, and the music is meant to give me hope as well as I sing it with all my might and all my strength on stage every night. I am trying to keep my energy and keep my focus on, yes, what's the principal things here? To love each other, create a great world. I don't believe that people need to have hundreds of billions of dollars, you know? Everybody should be
Right.
fed and clothed and have education. And I don't
Absolutely.
understand it. It doesn't make any sense. People used to get taxed, you know, big if you made that type of money. Now people make $100 billion and pay zero.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, that is kind of awkward, isn't
yeah,
it?
we are
Yeah.
paying for them.
Yes.
We are paying for them, and
Yep.
it's the Babylon rule them and greed and weeping pirates, silver tongue show. It's I've written this song so much, and as I speak with my wife and family, as you can probably tell, it gets me angry,
Yes.
when I think,
That's good.
yeah, when I think about where we are and where we're headed, it makes me upset. And I think a lot of people are confused by this moment because, you know, we're not here to fight each other, and we're here to create a great world, and that's the only way to create it. Only one way forward, one destiny for all people. So that's what we're trying to get back at. And as I'm speaking about it, this intent of candle burning now is an album of hope. We were
Yes.
just jamming ideas, and it was Zach, the drummer, who was like, I don't know. He kind of laughed. He wasn't saying major chords because I rarely use major chords in
Right.
the music, but he was saying something more positive.
Yes.
So it started to come to me, the vision for the record, and
Hmm.
certain songs began to be written and certain ideas coming up. Okay, it's like the light of hope is getting darker, right? It's like this eternal light that we have around us is being blocked. And at the same time, we're getting older. So this candle burning album is an album of hope. I don't mention Babylon once. I don't mention anything about greed and corruption and all these
Right.
things. It is all about trying to honor this eternal light that is there if you wish to connect with it. And then, as the second song, the title track, Candle Burning, introduces, we are also individuals mindful that our light is a second light, but ours is not infinite. Ours is going to go out. Ours is that candle burning. And as the album is going, it's speaking about these two lights, about your youth, about all these things. And as it's passing through to the last song, is when
Nice.
your candle goes out. We go into this one drop slower and slower and slower
Nice.
until it finally drops. So I really, I'm really proud in this moment when there's going to be tons of opportunity for us in the live show to speak deeply about these matters that we're
Sure.
living through. We did
Sure.
it. We were in Hawaii just last week, and before Weeping Pirates, we played Weeping Pirates once or twice on the tour run, and it creates a good moment beforehand to say something. Not to say anything in particular, but just to say that if you want to be a prime minister, right? If you want to be a president, you have to love people. You have to care about
Absolutely.
people. You have to care about all people. And if you don't care and have any empathy for people, then don't be a politician. Don't be a
Sure.
senator. Don't be that. Be whatever it is you want to be. You want to be a successful billionaire? That's great. But
Right.
to me, leave the leading of people to people who have empathy and love.
Well, that's unfortunate because 90% of the politicians in office, I don't believe do have that,
Yeah, yeah.
that quality, which is definitely frustrating. But I definitely do agree with you
The the
100%.
idea the idea, Scotty, to me is that it's like a rocky road, but we're getting more freedoms.
Sure.
We're getting more, healthcare and medicine. We're getting more. That's to me the path, right? I don't know. I mean, I am definitely going to be hopeful until the bitter end of my life, and
Absolutely.
I think that's important. I know that Noam Chomsky, he's still alive. He's like 94, 95. And they asked how he still every now and again is able to present all of the knowledge he has. And they
Right.
say, where do you get your optimism? And Chomsky says, what's my other choice?
Right.
Right? I'm going to be
Yes.
miserable and live,
Sure.
no, no. So,
I
and
I
then the
like
other
that.
choice people make is that they just unplug
Right.
from that world, and and say that it doesn't bother them, but in fact, it will bother them.
It does, yes, or it will. And that's kind of an issue that you do see a lot. I'll just not even worry about it. I won't pay any mind to it. Well, that's like seeing somebody drowning in a pool and not paying attention. It's not me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and not throw the life preserver. Even though it's sitting right there in front of you.
Yes,
We do have the tools and we do have the resources to be
we
able
do.
to stand up and fight, and
Yeah,
we
and like you
should.
said, reggae music. Like you said, reggae music has been that beacon. I would even
Sure.
say to people that Nelson Mandela, when Nelson Mandela was liberated out of prison in South Africa and put in as president, he visited three countries in his first year. I believe it was '94. He visited UK, the old colonial power. He
Right.
visited the USA, and he visited Jamaica to thank them for the music that kept him going and kept the struggle alive.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yes. That's why I'm a huge fan of reggae music. The reason, it was started for revolution, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
I've always had that heart and that soul for resistance and for struggle and for I've always had a revolutionary spirit, so I was definitely drawn to reggae as well, and that's
yeah,
one of the main reasons why my wife and I were drawn to Groundation in a very, very, very big way. Uh, First and
yeah.
foremost, the music's beautiful, but second of all, the message is just absolutely fantastic. It's delivered so well. You can't help but not listen to it, and that's great when it comes in such a well wrapped package, and
Yeah,
it's
to
delivered
me,
so
I call
properly.
that
Very nice.
I call that the double edged sword to me because
Y-
you had the edge of the music being pushing and revolutionary, and then you have the edge of the lyrics being pushy and revolutionary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, man, it's the perfect combo, 100%. Speaking of that, this is gonna fascinate me when I get this answer. Which Groundation song means the most to you personally, and why?
Wow,
Eh,
man.
I was thinking
It's not, yeah,
that
it's
would be
not
hard to
possible.
answer.
It's
Yeah,
not
I didn't think
possible.
so.
I all I can say is that I have sung, the song One More Day, Live It Up. I have sung that song at so many funerals and life celebrations that song brings me back to all those moments.
Okay, all right,
But
yes,
yeah, besides that, I don't know who was I, but the songs are like our children.
sure. Yeah, you can't pick a favorite.
No,
Absolutely,
no,
100%.
they all make sense. I always say that, even in how Groundation does our albums, it's a story, it's a concept record,
Yes,
all
a
of it,
concept. There you
Groundation,
go.
and
Yes,
not all the songs can be a medium tempo, upbeat, backbeat, pop
right.
hit song. We're gonna have ballads, we're gonna have fast parts, loud parts, quite. So it makes it dynamic. So when somebody says they love
Yes,
this song but not that song, you say, well, that song served its purpose in the story
yes,
of that record. It's definitely not that song. Everybody would want to have Jaja know 1,000 times.
right. Or original rhythm.
Yeah, original rhythm, yeah, which is the hit off the last record, and
Love that
that
track.
was an amazing. Man, I tell you, when I talk about One Rock and that record that came out 2022,
Yes,
being able to record, it's the last recording of all of them together, and original rhythm starts off that album, and it
yes, absolutely.
features Israel Vibration and the Abyssinians.
Yes.
And to me, even if I'm not a part of the band whatsoever, to be able to put on a song in 2022 and hear all those voices again, and it
Yep.
sounds fantastic. Jim Fox engineered and mixed. Man, yeah, it was so
Oh, that sounds
fun.
great. And the in that track, the female vocal is my wife's favorite part. Celebration, yeah.
Nice, yeah, they crushed
We
it.
love that,
Yes,
man. It's so cool when she throws her hands up. It's awesome, man.
awesome,
Yeah, it's just so fantastic.
awesome.
Now,
Yeah,
you've definitely collaborated with some Jamaican massive legends. You got Don Carlos from Black Ruru, Apple Gabriel, who you spoke of earlier. Leroy Horsemouth Wallace. Shout out to Rockers, one of my favorite movies. Pablo Moses. What were those sessions like, man? They had to be
Yeah, man.
intense.
Yeah, man. All different, because I write the parts for them. It's not
Right.
like people have guest features on their record, and they
Huh?
just like I guest feature on people's record, and they just send you, oh, there's these 16 bars or whatever open. But on a
Yep.
Groundation album, I write the songs. You can't have songs like Undivided, where Don Carlos sings a little piece, I sing a piece, Cedric Myton a piece, Don a piece, Cedric a piece, I a piece. You can't have that unless you prearrange it all.
Right.
So I've written these songs, and I have these guys in my DNA memories. So the ranges, the styles, the inflections, how they move, I kind of know what to do. So yeah, I mean, they come in, they have a guide vocal from me where I'm singing the part. They always comment, all right, they can hear that it sounds like them. So
Yeah.
they're ready to do a great work. And it's always positive. I had the fastest ever featuring was on this last record, Candle Burning, coming out. It's going to be the third single. It's going to come out in the end of April, I think. It's called The Light. It's a song that speaks about the two lights. And it features Mutabaruka. And
Nice.
Mutabaruka is a dub poet, from 70s time all the way till today, Rasta elder. And he just came in there, had the script, had the parts, all the little, fills and little breaks, and he got real theatrical like he does, and it came out in like an hour. He was done. So
Awesome.
that was the fastest session. But yeah, it's been incredible when I think about, Marcia Griffiths and Judy Mowat, and I wish I had Joseph Hill. I was gonna feature Joseph Hill, and Culture lead singer, passed away in 2006. We played the same show a few days before his passing in Holland, and I wish that would have manifested. There are many features. This is why I always seem to feature the elders, is because there's
Right.
many features I had in my vision that for some reason couldn't happen because of the passing of these
Right.
great legends. That's basically what I was trying to say. Was people have said a lot of times, when are you going to feature young artists, young Jamaican artists or young artists from the States? A lot of them grew up listening to Groundation, and it would be really fun.
Yes.
But just like how Skelly is no longer here, Bernard Collins, lead singer, Abyssinians, Parkinson's, very, very frail and ill. I just love these elders so much. I always go back to record these legends and icons, because I had plans to do the first spoken word with Gil Scott Heron, and he passed away. When I think about it, those are the legends who really inspired me into the person I am today, and to be able to be in studio as I have been next to them working on my song.
Yes.
Ijaman and Pablo Moses and the Congos, all three of them, very dynamic. Daddy Uroy, rest in powers. So many of them. Apple Gabriel, you mentioned.
Yes.
It's like, man, I can't believe I grew up, loving these guys' music so much. And it's Jamaica. It's like endless. So there's so many elders who are still here that I want to make that link with, that connection.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, how do you choose the musicians who you tour with and who record with you? That's got to be a pretty intense process.
Yes. Well, I mean, there's been a number of different drummers, different horn players.
Sure.
Throughout the years, lots of background singers. Obviously, they have to be talented musicians.
Yeah.
You're going to be, as I've learned through the years, why we've had to have other members. They have to be able to maintain touring life.
Right.
That's not for everybody,
Sure.
It's getting easier today with WhatsApps and Uber and these things, but you're out of your comfort zone when you're touring.
Sure.
So you got to find somebody who's easygoing. You find the most, experienced musicians, they're very easy, level, cool. So, and they have to be able to come to California. So half the group is here in the Bay Area.
Okay.
And it's through mutual friends. It's through playing, the bassist, and he does some lead vocals as well. I've written vocals for Isaiah. I did a benefit concert with him. And this man could sing and play these complex bass lines. All this, and man, this guy's got talent. So right now, especially with One Rock and this coming Candle Burning, the collective is really like a family on the road.
That's great, man. And that's really cool that you said that half of them live in the Bay Area where you live. Most of the reggae bands around here, including the one I'm in, we have 4 members and we don't even live close to each other. You manage to have 10 members and half of you live close to each other. That's pretty intense, man.
Yeah. We have to fly everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody flies into where we're going to do the tours.
Sure.
And we rehearse and get all the stuff ready then. And, we do little sectionals as drum and bass.
Sure.
In the Bay Area here in Oakland.
Very nice.
And, it's not an easy thing, obviously.
No.
It's much easier to travel with a small group. Having 10 on stage is something.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's very impressive to say the least. And speaking of rehearsal, what's your dynamic like in the studio? Are you a perfectionist, or are you just kind of, I'm going to let things flow and, end up where they will?
When we go into studio, because of how we record, I don't think any bands do this anymore, but we record through an analog pathway.
I love that.
In how we record. So you're going from the analog console, going
Sure.
through the analog microphones, going through the console, going through the tape machine. And the drummer is in the live room, the big room, and he's clicking the song off. I'm in the monitor room, me and the bassist, because we're going direct. And then in the ISO booth behind him, through windows, we see each other.
Mm-hmm.
You have the soloist, and you have the keyboardist who's playing B3, and that's being the Leslie speakers in a closet. So to get everybody in this analog space,
right,
to record everybody together at one time. And I say this because there's no moving of tracks. There's no copying and pasting. There's no fixing. There's no fixing of what you do.
That's live.
What you're listening to is what the musician played.
That's great.
So it has to be right. We don't go in the studio unless we know exactly what we're doing.
That's absolutely fantastic. That is so cool. And I love the analog is such a warmer sound as well. You know what I mean? The digital kind of sharpens everything. I love the warm softness of analog. I prefer it, definitely.
I mean, that's maybe it's just because that's the music that I grew up on.
Sure.
Analog music. But it was meeting Jim Fox in Jamaica, and I knew this name, Jim Fox, this engineer for Ross Records. All of Is Vibration and Don Carlos and Black Uhuru and Culture and Barris Hammond and, they're all Freddie McGregor. They're all done by Fox. So I was like, who is this Jim Fox? This is amazing. I'm meeting you. What's the secret? And at this time we recorded Young Tree and Each One Teach One.
Okay.
And I was not happy with these albums' sound.
Right.
I mixed Each One Teach One like 4 times.
Right.
So I said, Fox, what's the secret? He said, it's no secret, 2-inch analog tape.
Nice.
So the next album, Hebron Gate, I flew Fox to California. And even this last record, Candle Burning, we recorded in Brussels, in Belgium.
Wow.
And it was because we're all on tour for 6 weeks.
Sure.
So let's just finish the tour and record the record.
Oh, that's awesome.
We're all together. There's no expense of flying us to Brussels.
Sure.
So we all there and we record the record and do it. And still, I fly in Jim Fox from Washington, D.C. I don't mess with the analog world unless you come from that.
Sure.
A young person, not experienced in the analog, having fun. There's a lot of things that can go wrong.
Absolutely.
In the recording. So if you don't understand tape calibration, signal flow, signal pathways, phase things, you can have a real bad recording.
Sure.
So you're going to spend 50 grand. You better get Fox.
Right. I understand none of that, so that would definitely make a lot of sense to have somebody who,
This is good to hear. My wife always says, nobody knows about, you're talking about 5/4 bridges and this stuff.
No, that's good to hear. That's beautiful. I mean, your name is the professor for a reason. So,
Yeah.
100%. And that's the beautiful thing about having you on. Hippie-Fari was supposed to be about interviewing reggae musicians, but also learning about it as well. And you are definitely the person to be able to do that for us. So I definitely appreciate that, man, so much.
Yeah, man, and all of what it breaks down to is, like you said, it just seems like a fatter, warmer, larger sound.
Right. Yes, 100%. And reggae music and electronic music and rock music, it's just that analog sound is where it's at. So that's definitely one of the secrets to why Groundation sounds so good.
Yeah, it is. It
absolutely.
is.
How do you keep the band's energy alive across so many albums and lineups? I mean, most people would get worn out. 10 albums about to come out with your 11th, all these singles, this touring, wrapping up a tour, and then doing an album. How do you keep that energy going, man?
I mean, we all at this point, we're not young people anymore. We all love music, and music means the world to us. And I think that they feed off my passion, because it's not just a few songs put together, let's record, there's an album, there's an idea.
Yes. Okay.
And I think that inspires the horn players and the bass and everybody to, okay, this song is about, the confusion amongst society as to, who controls the light and who does this. I'm going to play this type of melodic bass line over that part. But when it goes to they're able to tell the story with me. So I think they get inspired from that. And it is true that you have to lead with example.
Absolutely.
So if I'm going into something low or, it's never the case.
Right.
You can go see Groundation. We tour 6 weeks tour. We play 35 shows. You go to 35 and you're going to say, my goodness gracious. Even when we have a new musician who comes in, we go to Brazil, we play the first night, whatever. We had a trombone player who had to sit in for life, the trombone player, Jeff, his mother was getting ill and not well, so you have to be home. And so a trombone player comes down, we play the first night in Rio, says, holy shit, you guys do that every single night?
That's amazing.
We're gonna do it tomorrow,
That's great, man.
Yeah, you gotta find the spirit.
Well, talking about inspiring your band, I mean, you're inspiring me right now, so I could definitely imagine being on the road with you. Would be absolutely fantastic. That is so cool, man. And Groundation definitely has a global fan base, especially in Europe and South America. Now, how do the different audiences connect with your message? Is there like a different feeling or vibe where you go, or is it all pretty much just same across the board?
Yeah, it's all the same across the board.
Beautiful.
As far as who is there, as far as what the energy is like in the house.
Okay.
People are loving, people are celebrating life, people are, you're having a Groundation experience. We improvise a lot of the show. We're not playing with click tracks and backing tracks.
Right.
So we can literally go wherever we want to go.
Sure.
There are improvised lyric moments in the show when whatever I stumble upon and begin to do is just that one time. You're never going to hear that again like that.
That's beautiful. It's like that's so organic, and that makes it so special.
And that you talk about Hippie-Fari, the Grateful Dead, that goes to jazz, yes, but also the Grateful Dead of don't play it the same way twice.
Oh, never. No. Yes.
So you have those people who are there for that conversation, and it's electric. But when you go to Paris and it's a sold-out show of 4,000 people at the Olympia Theater,
okay,
and they know all the songs,
right?
There's a different energy.
Oh, yes, I bet.
It's just it's like even when I would teach the history of reggae music and things, and it doesn't even matter about that. It's about people talk about Moses and the parting of the Red Seas and how crazy that, ridiculous, But you say you don't know what it's like to have 800,000 people all together meditating on one thing.
Sure.
So we have these little moments in music where you have thousands chanting together and the spirit comes. We all feel it. That's why we have these shows and love music and come together. So because of that, when there's 10,000 people in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and we play Babylon Rule Them, it is powerful.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's beautiful, man. Yes, and I cannot wait to experience it 100%. Now, what has surprised you the most about how your music has traveled so far?
I'm just surprised that it worked. I'm just surprised,
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that we have built a fan base.
Yes.
It's not a huge, we're not selling millions of records and these things.
Oh, but you're getting,
we have a hardcore fan base.
Yeah, you're getting millions of listens. I mean, your tracks, you get 27 million streams on some of your tracks. I mean, that's
yes, man.
That's a lot.
It's amazing. I love it. I hope that it inspires musicians to continue this conversation, this tapestry, this beautiful thing of music that is creative and it should develop. It shouldn't become a packaged, McDonald's Happy Meal.
Sure.
Music should be free to explore things, and that's what Groundation did. And if people didn't respond, if Hebron Gate, We Free Again didn't get the response that we got, I would just be on the street owing a whole bunch of money. And that could have easily happened because it's not. The music we play is not the music you hear on the radio.
Absolutely not. It's better. 100%, man.
I mean,
it's better.
It's real music and musicians and microphones and human beings together playing, it's nothing cut and pasted, and it's just people,
Absolutely. I hate to compare, and well, I'm not really going to, but it's kind of like a reggae Rush, the band Rush.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because the intense lyrics, the concepts, the intention. Yeah.
Man.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I love prog. I love that music.
Yes. It's the dynamic, it's kind of similar. You definitely remind me of Neil Peart. He did all the composition. He did everything. And a lot of their albums were concept albums like you. So,
yeah. Exactly.
Definitely kind of similar.
Even growing up and listening to Jethro Tull.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, my God, thick as a brick. You guys are going to do an album that's just one song?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it goes all over. I mean, how long did you rehearse this piece?
Right.
It's incredible. And Pink Floyd, right? Pink Floyd is going to do Dark Side of the Moon and sell hundreds of millions of copies of an album. Then they're going to come again now with Wish You Were Here.
Right.
And they're going to start the record without having the lead vocal sing for 7 minutes?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yes, that's awesome.
And I love that,
Yes, they did it.
And in those days, you had the audience because they sold millions.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So people, Stevie Wonder, it was awesome. It wasn't strange or different than this music, so I don't want to listen to it. This is why I feel like when people ask me what I listen to, I still go back to those records.
Sure. That's awesome.
Because there's so much there, man. There's so much there. You can listen to those records forever.
Timeless. Absolutely. 100%. And I do. Not records anymore. Obviously, it's your Spotify playlist, but,
Right.
I'm constantly.
I have my record player downstairs.
Oh, that's great, man. I live in an RV. I actually have my recording studio in the living room of an RV, but there's so many things that I want to get back. And I was talking to my wife about, I really want, the record player so we can play vinyl. And it's like, where are we going to do it? Hang it on the wall? There's nowhere to put it.
There's a space issue for sure.
But yes, definitely that sound of the the vinyl is fantastic. You know, it's very nostalgic. You would grab the record, put it on the record player. You kind of prop the the cover that it came in up against a record player, so when people walked in, they would know what you were playing. You know, it was a whole experience
Yes,
playing a record.
man.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
We just don't have anymore.
I have that exactly downstairs with the
Yep.
record on the display.
Yes, exactly. That's the one you were playing. It was very neat. So
It was it's Bob Dylan Highway 61 to show the kids
nice. That's
Bob
awesome.
Dylan's music. Yeah,
That's beautiful, man. And if you're gonna show them something, that's absolutely a really good choice.
yes,
So, looking over 2 decades of Groundation,
yeah.
is there one thing that you could say that you're most proud of, or you could give us a couple, some shining,
one we
moments?
hadn't talked about. One is original rhythm to have is
Right.
Vibration Abyssinians. I mean, I was thinking to myself, if I was to feature harmony, the harmony trios are all gone.
Right.
But if I could get, because I'm close with Abyssinians, with the Manning brothers. Linford has passed away. He passed away last year. Donald is still alive, 85 years old. Bernard Collins is in Jamaica there. Like I said, he had Parkinson's. Skelly and With, I wanted to tell you a little secret. I wrote We Free Again for Skelly and With.
Oh, nice.
The song We Free
Yeah.
Again.
Uh-huh.
And that's why you hear I'm singing With's part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Looks like the cloud of rain is coming from the west, I'm sure. From the west, I'm sure.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be With.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I sang that part. And
That's
then,
awesome.
And then Don Carlos does my part, really. And then Apple would have done Skelly's.
Oh, that's great, man.
That's how that song came about. So to have one song with these great, great legends still around, man, that I was very proud of that, man.
And that's so cool. You are my age. I think we're a year apart. I was 78. I know you were born in 77. For you to
Right.
to have been able to play with, you know, a member of Black Aruru or Apple Gabriel, like you're sitting here talking to me. I'm still like, wow.
Yeah,
That's so cool, man.
I just recorded with the other lead singer of Black Uhuru. I just recorded with Michael Rose.
Oh, wow.
The next single that we're dropping, which
Sure.
is going to drop on Wednesday, April 2nd or something, is the song from the new album, The Youth, which
Right.
is featuring Michael Rose and Alpha Blondie.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I actually saw that on the website. I think it is April 8th. Yeah, it's coming up. That's fantastic. Totally looking forward to that.
Yeah, and on the new album, like I mentioned, Mutabaruka as well as the feature. The other feature, this is the first album, we have 4 featurings. And this one is Thomas Mapfumo. I don't know if you know that name.
No, sir.
Not a reggae singer. He is a Shona singer from Zimbabwe, from Africa.
Oh, wow.
And he created his own militant music, Shona music. They're Shona people. That's what they're.
I gotta write that down.
Yeah, Shona. So Thomas Mapfumo, 80 years old. He is in exile in Eugene, Oregon.
Wow. No
I
kidding.
was in Zimbabwe 96, 97 on Galway Farm with a family there, Mukambaranua, who was stone sculpturers. And I fell in love with this man's music. He's dread, he's Rasta, and he started the militant music way back in the 70s and the 60s, really. And the Rhodesian government, the British government,
Rhodesia, South
put him in
Africa.
prison.
Okay.
Yeah, put him in prison. And it was Mugabe, when they liberated and they became independent in Zimbabwe, Thomas Mapfumo was freed, and he opened the show before Bob Marley and the Wailers for the Zimbabwe independence.
Wow.
So Thomas Mapfumo is a very militant man. He was later also put in prison by Mugabe later on from his album called Corruption. So I was just, to be in the studio with him, he's a little frail,
sure,
but his voice is still there.
That's great.
The minute he started singing was like, my gosh, that's to record Thomas Mapfumo. And not only that, I know that the world doesn't really know him, but he's like the Fela Kuti of Southern Africa. So to be able to have a new Groundation album with Thomas Mapfumo, I know people are going to be talking about him
Oh, sure.
and sharing his story. So all of a sudden, a generation that doesn't know Thomas Mapfumo is going to hear about this wonderful person. Yeah.
That is so cool, man. That's beautiful. And I find that so fascinating that you said he was a political prisoner who's on exile on the album. That, I mean, nothing embodies reggae music like that.
That's it, man.
That is insane.
Yeah. 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 He was an amazing, he is an amazing figure.
That's absolutely fantastic. So, what's something that you've learned from reggae music that has changed your life? I know that's open-ended.
So much, yes. But in the root of it, Rastafari, one love. I've learned more and more. I mean, shoot, I've learned more. Of course, we all did. I'm sure you included, about Marcus Garvey and Paul Bogle and George William Gordon and all these Jamaican history and world history things. Even speaking about Nelson Mandela or George Jackson or what's his name? Stephen Biko.
Mm-hmm.
Learned it through Steel Pulse, through Bob Marley, through Burning Spear. So I've been given so much. We've all been given so much. I really feel like people need to pay their respects, go to Jamaica.
Amen.
People need to really experience, the energies and to always remember where it comes from. That's kind of one thing that I get a little worried about.
Yes.
In people taking old classic rhythms, call them, and playing them as their own song, changing the lyric,
right,
and not saying anything about the original.
No credit.
People who did it.
Sure.
Where it's like, man, two things. One, you have to honor the fact that you didn't create it.
Absolutely. It's stealing an artist's work.
Stealing at no point. Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
And the other thing is how great it is to honor it because clearly they influenced you.
Right. Absolutely.
So what a great moment to honor them, right?
Sure.
That's something that I don't want to lose is the fact that reggae music, Rastafari, what Jamaica has given the world, this whole one love, which principles come from Marcus Garvey time, 1920s, really set the foundation, and we're still living in the effects of that experience.
Absolutely, man. Very, very, very well said. Real quick question: is that online course? Do you still offer that the reggae history?
I just taught it twice during the pandemic.
Okay.
I was able to be home and do it. But no, that was, you're kind of speaking of a...
that was like in 2021, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is like 20 years after I created the course at the university.
Right.
Brought it to the department. They hired me as the teacher of it. And, for a good 2.5 years, it was a great experience. So then...
From 99 to 01, right?
Yes.
That was 99 to 01 when you taught that. Okay, yep.
Yep. And I had to limit the class size in the university because it began to get more popular.
I'm sure.
It was like a general course. If a person wanted to, check the box for their art,
like an elective,
general education, they could take the history of reggae music at the music department in Sonoma State. So, man, it was a great joy. And then at the pandemic, I was lost. And my wife said, what about teaching? And I can tell you, Scotty, man, I was like, this is amazing. Sure. I can offer this course. People log in on Zoom.
Yep.
They're from Australia.
That's great.
They're from Israel. They're from New Zealand. They're from Holland. They're all over the place. They're from New York. They're from wherever. Everybody is there live. I spend an hour on the lecture. I'm just going through the history of Jamaica as a popular music, which I begin in the very beginning of Jamaica and the Arawak Indians and the British colonial rule. First the Spanish colonial rule and then the British. I go through from the beginning. and
Wow.
talk about all the ingredients that it is.
Sure.
And to be able to have that, and then the second hour of the live Zoom is with an elder who's in Jamaica, who was there with Duke Reed, who was there with Coxon in Studio One. So it was, and I could go on Google now. Back in '99, you couldn't do this.
Right.
I can go on Google, and when I talk about the fact that Treasure Isle and Studio One got surpassed by places like Channel One and Harry J Studio and Joe Studio, I talk about the fact that those studios started and they began with a 16-track recorder. It's the first time that Jamaica goes from a 4-track now
right.
to be able to really record the sound and mix the sound well. So those studios had a far superior sound than those older studios did. And I'm able to go on Google now and find those studios with the tape machine from that time.
That's awesome.
It's like, and then you can share your screen, so you're showing maps of Jamaica.
Oh, that's great.
Where the two, after the British came and liberated the slaves to fight off the Spanish and take Jamaica, where these liberated slaves fled to the hills and created the Leeward and the Windward Maroons. It was. I think it was a better course than what it was in Sonoma State time, because you can really show all of the stuff is there.
That's awesome. Well, I know you're a very, very busy person, but I'm just being greedy. I'm just saying I would love for that to be back, so I would hop on that in a second.
It's gonna be back.
Well, I will definitely be there. I will be the student that sits in the front of the classroom and asks the most questions. But that's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
So kind of in closing, what's advice would you give to younger artists trying to enter reggae or conscious music?
Yeah, well, I mean, do it with your heart.
Certainly.
You don't. You're not coming to this music with dreams of rock star. That's how it was in my days, reggae music, you have bands like Slightly Stupid and Revolution and Soja, Stick Figure, who play now to 8,000 people.
Oh, yeah.
But in my time, you didn't have those bands. Even people talk about the beginning of that, which was Sublime.
100%.
Unfortunately, the young man who was the front of Sublime didn't live long enough to experience 5,000 people at his shows. He passed away in Petaluma at the Phoenix Theater to 500 people.
Right.
So these bands that have huge following, I mean, it's a different thing. Meaning to say that when I first started Groundation, it was an acknowledgement that I'm not here to make some millionaire mansion on the hill and these things. I'm doing it because I love the music. I love people. I love the culture. I love what the music stands for.
Amen.
And it's a beautiful thing. I have 3 children. I think they just came back. They're
nice.
Back at school. I have 3 children, and if I'm going to leave my house for 6 weeks, I better not be doing any foolishness out there.
Right.
So if I'm planting seeds that's going to benefit my children, if I'm spreading the word of love and unity and trying to bring hope and these things, then my work that I'm doing is for them just as it is when I'm home. So, it's a powerful music. Embrace it,
Amen. Absolutely. 100%. Yes. And powerful that's the word to describe reggae music. That's absolutely beautiful. Powerful with a message, very conscious. It's all the ingredients for just the perfect music, in my opinion, all the way around. It's absolutely fantastic. So what's next?
The late great Dalton Brownie, guitarist who I played with in all the Professor stuff and things. He's passed away. He passed away during COVID. But he used to say that reggae was the greatest music because you have the bass. The music of reggae is so low. There's nothing under it, right?
I love that.
And yet the hi-hat and the cymbals are so high. It's a music that is far bigger than any other music you're going to listen to.
He's right.
Yeah, man.
He's
absolutely. Like a ton of bricks.
Well, that's why every genre has incorporated reggae. And now you have reggae metal, reggae rap, reggae pop, reggae jazz, reggae blue. Every genre has, that's because reggae fits into it.
Does.
It does. It's wild, but I mean, it's just, and then on its own is superb. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yes, it's absolutely fantastic. So obviously the new album coming out, and your tour.
Right.
Are you
Right,
working?
you were saying.
You have any new collaborations coming up, or what's next for Groundation?
Yeah, I'm doing something with K-Bong on one of his records coming up there. Who's
Nice.
a young, yeah, he's with Johnny Cosmic and them are doing
Love K Bong
something.
and Johnny Cosmic. Very good stuff,
Yeah.
man. Stick figure, it's great stuff, man.
I did something now that's coming out with Danakil, which is a huge band from France. They just sold the Zenith out in Paris to like 6,000 people.
Nice.
So there's something that I sang for their album coming out. I did a song. I was just talking to my wife today. I said, man, when is that song going to come out? I did a song for someone in California, and it was with Von Benjamin with his old band Midnight.
I love Von Benjamin, man.
And
That
I
is
ended
such
up,
good stuff.
I ended up being inspired to make it a tribute to him. And I sang all about him and when he first came through and his power and his vision and these things. And proud of that song, but it hasn't been released yet. So there's a special tribute I did for Von that's supposed to come out. And then, like you said, Candle Burning comes out May 23rd.
Yep.
We have a 5-6 week European tour. We have a week or two here on the West Coast. We have a couple weeks in South America. We go back in the fall to Europe for club shows. The summer is all festivals.
Sure.
And we really get down. And in the fall tour, we'll be able to play some classics. And then we're going to play the new record from front to back.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, because it's meant to be an experience.
Did I hear something about Groundation possibly doing a U.S. tour in 26? Is that
2026?
Did I just make that up?
Yes. Yeah. Let's make it up from here.
Yes, let's do it.
No, that is exactly what we're going to be doing. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
And then you know what else is crazy? I'm going to be flying in a couple weeks to sing on the premiere of a modern dance ensemble performance of Groundation's music at a theater in Germany, in Mannheim, Germany.
No way.
A French modern dance troupe of 15 dancers have done choreography.
So they choreograph to your music?
Yeah,
that is
called The
crazy.
Dreamer. It's called The Dreamer.
That's great, man.
April 25th, I fly in a week or two early for rehearsals, and April 25th is the premiere night, and I'll be there in Germany.
That's crazy. So you're involved in dance choreography. You're involved in documentary making. You're a professor. You're lead singer of Groundation. I mean, man, that's awesome, dude.
Just like you, Scotty, we gotta get a lot of things going.
Sure. Yeah. Sometimes that's my problem. It can be a blessing and a curse. I'll get to a point where I'm like, I get confused sometimes, but yes, that's absolutely fantastic, man. So.
You just gotta. I find that you just gotta keep those goals in your mind and even though you might have lots of things up in the air.
Sure.
Don't forget about them. Like holding on to Jah. You mentioned the documentary.
Sure. Yes.
That took 16 years to make.
Right. Exactly.
So
yeah,
that was even my wife was like, "What are you doing? It's absolutely ridiculous." I just said I got to finish it.
That's great, man. And you still have time to be a husband and a father to 3 children, so that's good for you, man. Yes.
Thanks. Thank you, Scotty. Yeah.
And speaking of that, I cannot say enough about how blessed I am, we are, me and my wife, that you took the time to come on Hippie-Fari Reggae Radio and podcast and talk to me for an hour and a half or whatever it's been. This has been something that's absolutely phenomenal, man. Huge fans of Groundation. And when I spoke to, I don't know if it was your manager, got me in contact, and the whole thing just kind of rolled seamlessly. You never know what to expect.
That was my wife.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, Okelia.
Yes, that's it. It's fantastic. But you never know what to expect. I talked to you, and you're one of the nicest people that I've ever talked to. or spoken to, and it's just been an awesome process from the time that I sent the initial email until now. So I just want to thank you so much for
It's Scotty. For me too. It's been very
everything.
easy.
Thank you, my friend. So the website, obviously, Groundation has a website. You have your own personal website. Everybody should go check those out. Is it groundation.com? And then
yep, that's it.
Yes, and I know your it's your full name .com.
Right. HarrisonStafford.com.
HarrisonStafford.com. Yeah.
That needs to be updated. I think all of the live stuff goes over to Groundation.
Right. Okay. Cool.
That's where I am.
All right. Fantastic. And then obviously you can find Groundation on every streaming platform. Very easy to find. Just type in Groundation. They're everywhere. Yeah. So thank you once again so much, man. I definitely appreciate it.
Thank you for the support, Scotty, and keeping the music going. And I wish you blessings and many, many, many more guests.
Absolutely, my friend. Well, there is strength in unity, so build your community. That's my favorite personal quote. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok, Hippie-Fari, ReggaeRadio.com. And this is Scotty, the high-strung hippie, reminding you to speak your mind before somebody else does it for you. Do something nice for somebody today. Grab flowers for your partner. Smoke out a stranger. Slip the homeless man a buck. But whatever you do, do it from the heart. Because all good things start with the heart. Peace, love, and Rasta rhythms are all a part of that reggae revolution. One love, fam. This episode of Hippie-Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast was mixed by Byron Sellers in the Ohm and Honey Reggae Radio and Media Studios in beautiful Daytona Beach, Florida.